welcome to Flashback, and we're covering another super classic. One of the more, not even that, one of the most important video games ever released. It's as simple as that. It is Resident Evil, the original survival horror video game developed and released by Capcom, originally for the PlayStation in 1996. And it's the first in the Resident Evil series. It should need no introduction. Not just a game series, but a fucking franchise. With X amount of movies, books, you name it. It's Resident Evil. If you're sitting there going, never heard of it, where have you been?
Yeah, I
like,
think
where?
even if you're not a gamer and you can't not have heard of Resident Evil, like, so because of the movies and the merchandising, it's like it's a worldwide phenomenon, isn't it?
It is an infection.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
It's spread throughout the world.
And as always, we'll give you a brief overview of the game. Now, this is going to be very brief because fucking hell. But basically, Resident Evil STARS Team Alpha is sent in to find their missing compadres in Bravo Team, find their crash helicopter, land in a forest, get attacked by these dogs, end up in a mansion and uncover a mystery that involves the Umbrella Corporation, betrayal in the stars. Eventually that franchise would explode into what the hell is going on. Crazy stuff.
Don't get into what happens after that.
The
whole series, man, will be a fire.
Absolutely. But it's a franchise that's had its ups at the start, its downs later on, and now recently back to its ups, basically.
So simple at the start, but got so complicated afterwards.
yeah. But Capcom seems to have acknowledged that with a sort of step back to survival horror with Resident Evil 7 and the remake of Resident Evil 2. Of course, if you do want to play Resident Evil, as much as I'd say, well, look, do go play the PlayStation 1 version because it's unique. You have options. It was remade for the GameCube, fucking made, incredibly done.
Yep.
And that has been re-released with a HD update as well for your modern consoles. So you have no excuse to go out and play it. And as much as I say go out and play the original because it's so special, shit, if you want to experience Resident Evil, just play the HD remaster. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, when I think back about Resident Evil 1, my memory of it is kind of fuzzy because I think it's been muddled by the remake so much. Like when I think of the first game, I just think of the remake.
Okay. So you don't think of those corridors with green wallpaper and... Of
course, I remember the corridor and the first introduction of the very first zombie and how iconic that moment is, and the dog smashing through the window in the hallway and stuff like that. And of course, the scene at the beginning when it introduces all the characters with the actors and stuff, and the hilarity of that, and the
Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Albert Wesker, Resident Evil.
Terrible voice acting that's so bad but hilarious.
Famous.
At the same time.
Yeah. Right, so we're going to go through some of the things we like, some of the things we didn't like, favourite moments, scenes and bits of music. So, straightforward enough, I reckon, I'm 99% sure on this, this was probably the first proper horror game I played. Now, when I try to work out what could have been before, I was trying to think of Mega Drive and SNES games and things like that, and all I could come up with was more comically horror ones. So I was like, Manic Mansion? I was like...
Manic Mansion?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the point and click one from LucasArts, or that?
Must be before my time.
And yeah, it was. But then I'm like, I couldn't think of anything else like that I would call horror. Now we always say Resident Evil was like effectively the start of survival horror. I think Alone in the Dark came before, but I didn't even know about Alone in the Dark. In fact, my first introduction to that game would be later on the Xbox 360. Yeah. And what a terrible place to start.
Yeah, not the best.
But yeah, that's for something else. But so this is as a survival horror because I played this before Silent Hill as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Resident Evil, proper horror. Like
as Capcom themselves, I think, are responsible for a lot of people's introduction to horror and gore and violence. Not only with Resident Evil, obviously.
But yeah, like this level of interactivity horror, that's the biggest thing for me. Is this was an introduction to that. As well, it was probably the most, maybe not the first, but one of the most early memories I have of a game that felt huge, encompassing. Now, it's not a big game. In fact, you can complete the game in 2.5 hours. Someone's under that. But what it created world-wise with the Umbrella Corporation and all that, it felt like, oh my god, this is an actual epic. Now, PlayStation, it had its fair share, but nothing like this for me. Later, we would get games like Metal Gear and things like that took that and blew it up even more. But I remember feeling like, and I still do, it's like, oh, okay, this is localized here in the game, but it's bigger and bigger. And we would see that obviously with Resident Evil 2. So they clearly had the plan in place of where they were going to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things I love about Resident Evil, they started from the first game. A lot of the ideas, it started with the first game, and it went forward from there.
Yeah, and with that came mystery. I love nothing more in games than being challenged. And not even this game, in movies and horror and stuff like that. I'm one of those. I'm a big supporter of don't spoon feed me everything. Leave some things up to interpretation if it works in your movie or game. Let me try and work some stuff out myself. Leave some things where I can go, if I have to think about it afterwards. I think Resident Evil did that in regards to certain character actions, certain events that would have occurred, and what could happen afterwards. You can say, oh, well, you get the right ending, you get a very, very straightforward ending. Well, no, it doesn't, because you're still left up with, but there were monsters in the woods, there were monsters in the mountains, you see it in the newspapers, Umbrella Corporation still exists. So, I mean, like, all this stuff where you're like, oh, that's all there. And it set your imagination rolling as to what could have been. I still remember I have the magazine at home, Computer and Video Games magazine, with the first screenshots of Resident Evil 2.
Really?
And
that's cool.
Being just like, because I buy them and collect them now.
Cool.
What's it called? And having the first screenshots of Resident Evil 2, and just, whoa, look, it's back. Puzzles. Yes. Now, it's a negative and a positive in the sense that, again, an introduction to a game that went, okay, here's some really intriguing ideas, and you're going to have to do backtracking and move around, and the keys and just how that system worked. I can't really think of anything before that as well, where I'm like, oh, that's what you needed to do, and this is what you needed to do, and how it all came together. Certain like gems needed put here, or certain symbols and stuff like that, the painting buttons and things like that. It made you feel smart doing those things, But that's some of the basic ones. There's loads and loads and loads from but we'll get to some of them with scenes and moments. Yeah. Do you have anything to add there?
Like I mentioned, it's just when I think about Resident Evil, like my memory crosses over with 2 so much because they're so similar. But I think that's like testament to how great the first game is. Like a lot of the ideas that came from the first game were translated into the second one and just improved upon in little ways. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not talking about Resident Evil 2 in this, but I will add to that and say Resident Evil 2 was everything Resident Evil 1 was. Bigger, better. Yeah. As simple as that. Yeah, and we'll get to Resident Evil 2 eventually. But yeah, so some of the things didn't like there. Now, here's the thing. This drives me nuts. And this drives me nuts across... Again, I've got to reference movies and things. Nothing drives me nuts when someone's like, hey, that movie is so bad it's good. The so bad it's good tag. You hear that attached to a lot of fucking movies. And I watch a lot of movies. And I will... drive me nuts. I'm like, you know what? Not everything that's shit is so bad it's good.
No, of course
it's
not.
just bad.
Yeah.
Not even horror, but say something like The Room. Have you seen The Room? This what's his name?
Yeah.
Everyone's so bad it's good. So bad it's good. It's just bad. Why does it have to be so bad it's good? Oh, but it's enjoyable. It's fun. But you're wasting your time. This reason why I'm getting onto the so bad it's good thing is because this is what people apply to the voice acting of Resident Evil.
I don't know what happened.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
What? Oh no!
Oh, Jill, this house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
You're wounded. Is that right? Anyway, it's good to see you're safe.
How about going down to check by yourself? I have a rope here.
Oh, do you? Well, then I'll try to go down using the rope.
Is this?
That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant! Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful.
Oh, but it's so bad it's good. No, it's just bad. It's just bad. Not just how it's delivered, but how it's written. And how irrelevant it could be. And we've all got our favourite ones where we laugh and joke about, whether it be a Jill sandwich and all that, or my personal favourite, I have a rope. Oh, good, I can go down using the rope. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, the rope's there, you stupid cow. We don't have to...
But why do you think it was so bad? Do you think it was because of
translation?
The translation.
Yeah, simple translation issues.
But they hired the voice actors. I mean, they must have when they recorded the voice work and stuff, and they obviously gave it the okay. I mean, they could have given it another try. Take 2 or whatever.
Now, I'm going to make a bold presumption here, but I'm 99% sure the majority of that team was Japanese. So if they were working with English speakers, would they have understood things like cadence, tone,
maybe not.
expressions? They would have wanted it said clearly. That you must spell out exactly what this is.
It does sound, but it sounds like they are reading like lines.
Yeah, badly.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is the voice actors, have they never spoken before? Like, even if you're reading a line, like you do you were just a Jill sandwich, but do it like you would do it.
What, like now?
Yeah.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
All right. Yeah, no, but you were putting inflection on that. You putting it. It's not just it's like you almost got crushed, Jill.
Hey man, I have to be. If I was actually in the scenario, I think I'd be a bit more like erratic
panting, scared.
Yeah, I think I'd be a bit more.
Oh my God, Barry!
Emotion,
yeah, exactly. And like famously, Chris's laugh with Wesker at the end.
Yeah.
It's bad. I don't get why people love it.
I don't know. It just adds to it in a way, like kind of wouldn't be the same without it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's a moment in time, but don't get me wrong. When the remake came out, I wasn't unhappy with the changes.
No, yeah,
you know. And on that as well, like the original Resident Evil, and again, of course, it's aged terribly. Ooh, it's an ugly looking game, blocky as fuck, square.
Yeah.
Horrible backgrounds.
Things where I rather leave the memories alone, man. I don't like looking at it, because my memories, it looks a lot better than it actually does.
Yeah. And a silly one really, but basically Mo discs. I hated that you had to collect Mo discs, get the passcodes to get the best ending just to rescue someone, and it didn't change per character. It was just you rescuing the other character. A little bit lazy on thing, and they would still do that in the remake, except instead of like computers, they were GameCubes. I always thought it was a little bit lazy. I prefer Resident Evil 2's style of how you can get different endings.
Yeah.
So favorite moments and scenes, bits of music, I guess. Really.
I bet the scene that I always remember, like, is the scene at the end with Wesker and Barry in the lab at the end.
Yeah.
When the tyrant's obviously in the tank, and it's like the water drains out of it.
Yeah.
I just remember because I've played the game obviously when I was quite young, and the tyrant just is such an intimidating, formidable like monster, like quite scary.
Yeah.
To come up against it. Obviously, there's a lot of scary creatures in the game, but to see this hideous beast and you're gonna have to face it. Scary. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The draining scene and stuff like that, and its hand twitches. I remember its
Yeah.
hand, and that's when it cuts back to the actual in-game stuff. But yeah, I mean, Resident Evil original has some of these cutscenes, animated cutscenes that actually work. We all know the obvious one, the very first zombie. It's incredibly done, but admittedly, again, done better in the remake.
Yeah.
But it's still it's iconic. But my actual personal favorite from that is actually the Hunter. When a hunter is introduced, and basically this thing comes racing from where you were, so you also get to see the areas you were just in, but through that cutscene style, it climbs up the ladder, and you see like this claw open the door. Fucking love it. Hunters, full stop. They're one of my favourite Resident Evil villains, purely because of how damn difficult they were. Lickers, they all have their threat and stuff like that, but nothing was a hunter. That click of the feet, or that followed by that jump, meant often death, and that's great.
Yeah, completely agree. But I just think the overall atmosphere of the game, like a lot of the Resident Evil games did capture this really well, but just that simple setting of a mansion, this to explore these many different rooms, the mystery of it all, and just that creepy atmosphere of this big empty house. I just love that. That's one of my favorite things in like a horror movie.
Yes,
I love haunted house horror movies that are done well, because I just think you know, we all live in houses and stuff, and there's nothing creepier than a big, quiet, empty house.
Yeah. Sometimes when you come home and whatever like that, and you're the only one in.
It's just that silence, you know.
Yeah, nothing's on, ticking of a clock or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of the atmosphere was driven by the music. Picking a specific set of music from Resident Evil is very, very difficult. End credits has that wicked upbeat rock tune. But my personal favourite is often just the mansion floors. First and second floors, the music would play through there. Creaky, haunting stuff. Or the one that plays during the shark sections, the underwater. It's kind of like a plinky plinky kind of sound. It's iconic, basically, and there's so much great music in it. It's really, really, you could spend hours talking about it, go dissecting the game piece by piece, but that's not what we're here for. That's it. That's our flashback on Resident Evil. So make sure you check out the other videos, check out the other episodes, leave a comment, tell us what you think, and like and subscribe.